Okay, so yesterday I had a bad idea that because I am impatient and stubborn, I did it anyway. But I knew it wasn't going to work, or at least it wasn't going to work well. Um, and I even confirmed that it wasn't going to work well before I did it, but I did it anyway. So I was playing with my bird cage, right? The new one that has the cigarette stains all over, like the smoke staining all over the plastic of the tray part, right? And figured since I probably won't be able to bleach that out well enough, I would just paint it. So I put it in the garage, got a table set up, and read the can to verify that you shouldn't use it. Well, it's not real helpful when it's below freezing outside, and spray paint lives in the garage anyway. So yeah, but I did it because I wanted to see if that color would cover the other color, which I use kind of a taupe kind of a color, I guess. And I mean, y'all have seen how colorful I am on here, so it's not gonna just be taupe, but I was hoping to see if it would color or cover part of the smoke staining anyway. And I guess on that end it worked well enough. I mean, it's not perfect, not flawless by any means, but good enough for me being impatient and doing it anyway. And it is dry. It didn't dry well, but it said that it wasn't going to. But it did dry. So I guess the next step will be, after I clean the cage, go ahead and bring the tray in so I can, I'm not going to put the cage, I don't know if I will or not, depending on how impatient I am with putting the cage back together after I clean it today. I'm kind of on this one real useful task a day, and yesterday's task, the cage made it to the bathtub, and now it's just hanging out there. Was that yesterday? Yes, I think so. I won't swear to that. But if it wasn't yesterday, then I'm not real sure what the productive task was. I guess it could be the painting the tray, but as I said, it didn't work real well. But yeah, I don't care. It's all right. It does look like that color mostly covered it's not perfect. It's definitely not. Anyway, I'll bring it inside and make sure it like kind of airs out a little bit. Okay, so yesterday's task was the cage made it to the bathtub. Today's task will be to clean it. And, well, I mean, I guess depending on if I'm going to usually kind of let it drip dry. I mean, the house is really dry right now, so if I leave it in the bathtub overnight, then it probably will dry out pretty well if I leave the door open. But, yeah. It's perfect weather for washing leggings because they don't put them through the dryer, so they get hung up in the laundry room and they dry overnight. And even if I have like 30 hanging up, which is a lot of leggings, I'm aware, yes. I don't know that it's 30, but probably it wouldn't surprise me if there was. I know I have way more than that, so which is impressive since I only became a legging person at the first factory job I had in 2019 to 2020. So, yeah. I had thought about them before. The standard go-to look that I wear when it is, when it's warmer than it is now, because currently we're in jeans. But the normal go-to leggings with shorts over the top, that was something like I thought about doing in high school, but then I didn't want to draw attention to myself back then. Now I don't care. Yeah. So that's today's task, and I'll get to look at the cage and how badly painted the tray is, so then when it does warm up and is, nice enough that I can actually paint it, the birds will have to live in their shower cage briefly in that time frame, but I will eventually paint it when the weather is better and I can paint it how I want to. But for at least getting rid of part of the cigarette smoke staining, I guess it kind of did that. Not completely, but kind of. Now granted, that was like a 20-second check in the garage before I came over to my brother's house to hang out with the dogs and do another video. And I will say, they're getting used to this doing videos thing, but they're still not impressed that it's not the walking. And I'm not either, because I would like to walk the dogs, but it's not when it's 20 degrees or less. I have done it before, but it isn't fun for any of us, so yeah, we just don't. I think these guys would be more open to it than mine. Ziva particularly, just because she's got the shorter hair. Although, Buttercup's got pretty short hair too. But hers doesn't seem quite as thick as Ziva's does. But I could be wrong, but she's just staring at me. But yeah. I have like random thoughts of things to talk about today. Nothing real exciting though. But the first card, the only card I've drawn today, well, no, that's not true. I had this one oracle deck that I used and got some out of, but I just read them and then put them back in the thing because they had pictures on one side and then just like a little short something on the other side. But the one, I remember what it's called now. There's the Lover's Oracle was the one that I didn't really, it was just because I could. The first card out was Soulmate though, so that's fun. But the other deck was some nature one. I will know what it is later, but 717. But the card that I pulled out, and I was very specific, it's like, I only want one. I don't want to just like sit here and do this forever. And I'm really bad about when I say just one or two, and then I keep going until I have like 6 anyway. It's like, wait, what are you doing? Today we stuck with one. And the one card for the theme, the energy, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. The card that I got was the Waterfall card. And it talks about persistence. And yeah, I might as well read it. I wrote it down. Hold on. And relevant because I was talking about the impatience and painting thing today, right? Okay, so it says, you're struggling with your impatience, rushing too fast to gain ground on that project you're so invested in and feeling defeated. Don't give up. Persistence is what's required here, not striving or aiming for perfectionism, but staying the course. You have obstacles that seem to have been in your way, and yet you can recall how you were able to get through those blocks and work around them in ways that allowed you to continue with your intention. Pause periodically and step away from your attempts. Take a break, but don't make it a permanent one. Your endeavors will be rewarded with the satisfaction of completing a job well done. Though the completion is a welcome and a necessary pause between steps in the accomplishment of your mission, there is still more to do. Take a breath, trust the inspiration for what you're doing will always be available. Know once this phase is completed, it's only to create room for the next step in the progression of your mission. And a random text message pop up on my when I was reading that. Anyway, yesterday's cards were kind of really relevant too. But this is book 11. I figured, plus it's kind of the last of them. I didn't sticker this one all up. The other ones, since there were a bunch of them that matched because I got them on clearance for like $2, I stickered them up. There's been lots of relevant things the past couple of days. Like I've been like taking all these screenshots on my phone and like just, pictures of random things. Where's that? Like there was the Moon Tarot for yesterday's energy reading. It says you'll figure it out. Right now, focus on one task at a time. There's no rush here. A divine alignment is occurring and you're doing all you need to. And that one, when I looked at, okay, first when I looked at the timer just now, it was 10:10. But that one, when I took the screenshot, it also had 3,897 likes at the time I took the screenshot, which is my exact birthday backwards. And I think I was watching, it was a Cosmic Kin tarot reading that I was watching this morning. There were 2 piles that I picked, 1 and 4, and in one of them he was talking about, now I forgot the thought. No rush. I don't remember. I'll have to come back to that one if, if it comes back to me. But yeah, there's just been a lot of... I do know. There was another text message. No, I lost it again. Damn text message. Shit. Fucking 11:11. That's what it was. Okay, he was talking about paying attention and like just noticing like all the little things. I'm pretty sure that was in the tarot reading I watched. But yeah, and here I'm on the floor, and now the girls are back over here in my face. You don't need to lick my face. It's okay. Thank you. Get back now. But yeah, just paying attention to like all the things that are lining up and how things are coming together, and right. So yeah. But like I talked about all the synchronicities just for like the trip the other day to get the bird cage. It's like somehow in following the things that are making me excited, bringing me joy in some kind of way. It's like kind of like the universe is giving me a pat on the back, and of course 1212. Just nonstop. Oh, and at one point I talked about 717, and I saw that I had it written down because I was making note of these damn synchronicities that are all over the place. But okay, so the first thing was I just realized there were 2 different things. One was a video that I was watching. I don't remember what it was. No, I was talking when I was writing about the twin flame telepathy thing. And as I just at that moment decided to get up and close the curtain in my office, the curtain that the neighbors can see in for that window, I figured I'll go ahead and shut that. So I stood up and I walked over there, and the first thing I noticed is my wrong clock, because it doesn't keep time. I don't even try to bother messing with the time on there. Plus, it's kind of fun to see the numbers line up in weird ways. But it was 7:17 on the wrong clock, and the temperature that it claimed, see, I don't know if the temperature is accurate on that thing, but it said 71 degrees, so it could very well be, because I think that's what the house has been set at recently. But then, as soon as I wrote it down, I was watching another video. I don't remember what it was, but I saw, it was my video. I was watching yesterday's video, make sure everything was okay. And to figure out what I talked about so I could come up with and see if I needed to mention anybody in the description. And I caught the timer at 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 17 seconds at the same time that I did notice 7:17 on the phone clock. So the wrong clock, I don't know how wrong it is at the moment, but I think there was a little bit of gap. But I won't swear to that. You really don't have to be in my armpit. And yet, here we are. Wasn't so sure she wasn't going to push the button like Gidget did the other day, but trying not to let that happen just so she doesn't accidentally shut my video off either. That's rude. Hey, thank you. Oh, don't you come over here and try to lick me with that mouth. Gross. Do you have to go potty? Put them back out. Okay, so in yesterday's video, I also talked briefly about how my mom had come over to my brother's house with me the night before, and it was like, she noticed I was in a good mood, so hey, this is a great time to come force me to pay, or to spend time with her, right? Try to latch onto my energy again and suck the life out of me. So the cards I pulled yesterday after I was talking about this whole thing, which, by the way, she said earlier she'll do that again tonight. It's like, why? It's completely unnecessary. All she's going to do is sit there and look at her phone. That's why. Because she wants to find stuff on her phone to try to pull me back into her chaos and drama. And usually I'm blowing off the stuff that she's talking about. Like the other day she said, hey, and just like she sounds like she has something really interesting, and then she proceeds to tell me some kind of bullshit with she said something about, and she was trying to make it sound like this really good thing on the FBI supposedly stopped some school shooting event or something. And I said, okay. I said, now, did that actually happen, or is that something where they've been there's been so much focus on the other stuff you've been watching with them that it's trying to paint them in a better light now because this other stuff is painting them in a negative light? And then she just kind of like stopped and was like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, so you say this thing and like you want me to react to some kind of way. I'm supposed to be appalled at this whole thing, but it's like, goes back to that, what was it, Shakespeare, I think I heard that said the whole world is a stage. I think it goes to that point, right? And I mean, oh God, especially politics. If anybody's making bullshit up, that's all right there. I've talked about that many times. But anyway, so yesterday's cards, I think that comment was the night before too. But like, she tries to pull me back into her stuff. That was the thing that was really annoying about when she did come over here with me the other night. When we got back home, she started in on something with how weird my grandma's been acting. And I just said, she's always acted weird. And she responds with, well, yeah, but it's worse since her husband died. It's like, nah, that's what you're doing. It's like literally trying to pull me back into that. And I think I did say yesterday, she's not going to be happy when she says that at just the right time. And I follow it up with, it's about time, let him go. Or something like that. He needed to go. It was well past his expiration date because he was trying to force everybody to, he was sucking the life out of everybody, obsessing over his death. So yeah, it was time for him to go. It was 33 years too late, honestly, but the universe has its reasoning. Yeah. So, but she's really not going to be happy when I fire that back at her, and one of these days it will happen. And perhaps that is what, I'm kind of being nudged in the direction of, for that matter, like for the guides and the spirit realm and all this stuff. Maybe that is exactly what needs to happen, because then it will be like will it be the slamming of the door in my face because I'm ungrateful or whatever and not playing my part in keeping, I told her she had to be okay, or it had to be okay for that man to die at some point, and she wasn't happy about that. However, shortly after that, it finally was able to happen. But my God, it took way longer than that should have. Like I said, I stopped mourning in August when he broke his femur, had surgery, and was in that hospital for 15 days, and then moved to the first rehab hospital after that. And, I had like this random morning, I woke up crying and was like, I have wasted 33 years of my life mourning this man's death. I will not do it any longer. kids are acting up. So I will return to that when I get back, because that is, the cards. My little pin. I know I really don't have to introduce the pauses, but I guess it's kind of because I just come back. But I guess it makes make sense if I randomly forget what I was talking about. I don't know what is wrong with this hair. It keeps going like that, and I mean, I know it's because I tuck it all the time, but it keeps getting untucked and just looking like a hot mess. So yeah, whatever. Anyway, the cards. So this was yesterday's energy, right? And it was from the Shaman's Dream Oracle, I think. But the very first one out was called the Dream Thief. And what I wrote down for it, it says, her only purpose is to keep you hypnotized by comfort and sameness. She wants you to tell your old stories over and over so you don't evolve beyond them. You are so much more than you know. Now it's time to express what has lain dormant. Your new adventure has already begun. I'll just show. My mom. Yep. It's like, that's literally all this is like, she sees that I'm like getting to a point where I'm not just going along with whatever anymore. And like, I want my own existence now. And I'm like changing things up to try to make it happen for me. And it's like, that's literally all she's doing, is she just keeps popping up to try to pull me back into the lameness of sameness. I don't know. But yeah. Well, I thought it was funny that was the first card out, and that was, how I ended off my, what I was talking on my video yesterday. But then also, the next card was Dragon's Hoard, and it talks about protecting the future. It says, the dragon guards the legacy of the future. You have been allowed entrance by virtue of your kindness or your spiritual practice or sheer luck. Consider that your present, this moment, is the future to the dragon. You may be the one we have all been waiting for, so do not hesitate to take what bequest has been reserved for you since the beginning of time. This is the time to be bold and not delay or overthink. So yeah. And then the third card was the Dust Devil. Embrace the chaos, trust in the process, moving out of stagnation. You can't expect this ally to behave, to bring niceness, to be clean. His power is in the mess he creates as he calls for you to engage in the full cyclone of life. Stop asking for things to be perfect. Awkward, messy, conflicted, exuberant, and wild is how you shift. Trust this process. The Dust Devil knows what you need when you need it. Once things settle, you will see the gleaming jewels awaiting your discovery, the wisdom awaiting integration. It's just like the way everything was going. It's like, there's this thing, this obstacle that keeps coming up, this mom figure that keeps coming up and trying to get in the way and, trying to be the thief of the dreams and keep you locked in the sameness and whatnot. But then it's this whole keeping my focus on the future and what could be, right? And then allowing for things to get a little messy and chaotic, which, there are moments that's very solidly in there. Yeah. But then also, 2, 3, 4, 5, as I was moving into the next one. Winter's Dream says, gestation period, a summons to go within, cast your gaze toward the deep and hidden places in your heart. This is not a hibernation. Do not fall asleep. Take your quiet, wakeful nature with you into stillness and know that you are replenishing your life force. Trust that the deeply buried seeds inside your soul, the ones you planted even before you were born, are stirring softly, ready to awaken to the spring. But do not try to rouse them early. Instead, surrender to the quiet of Winter's Dream. This is the time to set your priorities in order, yet not act on any of them. Allow the clarity and transparency that comes with Winter's Dream to permeate your heart and soul. The time for action will come later. Remember that all things are born of dreams, and your task is to wake up within the dream to lucidly guide it to your chosen destination. Had a dog in my hair when I was reading. Yeah, so, staying focused on the dream, right? And there's lots of different layers of that, but like, I mean, obviously, like the one thing has my focus more than anything else. But anyway, the next up, number 5, was 37 card, which that's one of my numbers. Actually, 6-3 is a Gracie number because she was born on June 3rd. 13 has been relevant, 12 has been relevant, and 15. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all this. I've talked about them enough, I'm sure. But anyway, 37 is the Magician's Sword. It says, confidence in your magic, nothing can stop you. The beauty you seek, cut the cords that bind you to old thought forms and beliefs and to people who are not true. With the power of the Magician's Sword, nothing can stop you, hurt you, or turn you away from the beauty you seek or the goal you desire with all your heart. The sword is a tool, not a weapon, so make sure you wield it wisely for the highest good. Find the stuck places where you are kept tethered to a toxic person, a particular location, or faulty thought or belief, and let the blade do its magic. You have a large endowment of magic available to you when you believe in miracles, but don't look to the heavens to grant you a wish, look within. Use the Magician's Sword to cut through limiting beliefs, and remember, all beliefs are limiting, and focus your intention in order to create what you wish. You have all the tools you need for the task at hand. You need only muster the wherewithal to deploy the resources you have. It's time to get moving. This is not a tool for contemplation. It is an instrument calling for decisive action. And remember, the sword is alive with the wisdom you can summon to help you find the best course of action. Do not hesitate, act. But also the gestation thing, so it's like this weird little interplay, right? And then the last one was kind of the bottom of the deck energy. And it was skywriting the fates, that which we cannot change, non-judgment. You have a destiny. You are being invited to explore certain aspects of life unique to you and you alone. It is just your path with parts that cannot be changed and must be radically accepted as they are in this way. In this way, whatever you are faced with, every single aspect of your life is perfect in its imperfection. See your life as a series of opportunities rather than an obstacle course. Once you master the skill of non-judgment, you open to the power of curiosity when unencumbered by the burdens of yesterday's fears. As you look ahead into the potential of the future, yes, you still need to be brave. Right now, you are facing a critical moment in time with an opportunity to meet your fate, a choice point where you expand your influence in your capacity for abundance, love, and purposeful action. Now is the moment to leap into it, whether it be a heart connection, a call to creativity, or a new identity in your work or another area of life. With all your heart and soul, your success is surely written in the stars. In order to bring your destiny to fruition, you must jump into the adventure with both feet and do your part. Yeah, so, but it all starts with that whole dream thief piece, right? And that's basically been what my family has been the whole time. It's kind of the thing to try to keep me from expanding beyond. And God, these bangs again. I don't know if I like them or not. Sometimes they annoy me. Yeah, and yeah, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, this kind of, I feel like, of course, the dreams are what's gestating, right? So, still staying focused on this future and this dream of, highest, what is the best case scenario that I would want to see happen for my life, right? And the stuff that my my dream thieving family has always stood in the way of me being able to find my way to. Yeah. Yeah, so my mom's wanting to come back over here with me tonight. I'm not going to commit to saying the thing tonight, but I'm not going to commit to not either. One of these days it's going to come out and she's not going to be happy with it, but obviously at some point it just got to go. Maybe that's the dust devil bringing the chaos to the old way of being. Yeah, and that mindset and whatnot. The other aggravating thing is, since my cousin's baby shower is on Saturday, apparently I've been recruited to go along to Sam's Club tomorrow with her, my mom. So I will have to, I guess, put forth some very strong, focused effort on being mindful of my boundaries tonight and tomorrow, and of course the next day as well, since this is a 3-day hangout kind of a thing, or parts of 3 days anyway. Still not my favorite parts. I've talked about how I don't know that I'll ever come back, because, and I think that's kind of, the point of everything I go through now, is just so I can keep being reminded of this point that they're not changing. It is what it is, right? And a big part of it being what it is to keep me moving and not just allow myself to fall back into like complacency where I have in other times in my life, like especially before I was really understanding still the flatness. Yeah, so there's been like a lot of other things, like, as I've talked about on here many times, with this whole just journey in general. It's like, I think the stuff that has been happening, I finally am able to realize how it all connects together and why I've been as stuck as I have been throughout my life. Like even there was that, so my bear picture that won the zoo contest that I found out about in January. It was within a half hour. My parents had me so aggravated that I spent the rest of the day crying because I was so frustrated about everything. And then I realized, and it was through help of the other group of people that are in no way attached to my family, that I was able to kind of reclaim this good thing for myself and take back its meaning, so it wasn't just lost to, if you do anything good, your parents are going to fuck it up for you. I mean, even though there's a very, very real tendency that is always what happens, right? And the support of that, when I was all excited about the bird cage 2 days ago, and then suddenly my mom's joining me over here and trying to pull me back into her shit again. She kissed me on the cheek. Yeah. But like, especially like with the synchronicities, is like following the thing that was lighting me up in the moment. And then I just like kept seeing like all this stuff, like all the numbers, the repeating numbers, the Twin Flames birthday, my birthday showing up. I just smacked myself in the face. So that's fabulous. Yes. Right in the lip ring. She's concerned. But yeah, then, she comes in because she sees that I'm in a good mood, and, she tries to piss all over it again. It's like, that right there. It's like literally every time there's something that I get remotely excited about, they look for a way to latch on and suck the joy out of it. It's like, that's why I don't like being around you people. That was kind of rude, dude. Dog's belching in my face again. Oh, here's another weird thing. Wasn't quite what that's for, but okay. We'll just hold hands now. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I came across this post on Instagram about a movie viewing kind of a thing, and it had like 888 likes on it. It's like, there's a number again. And then there was this other video that I saw, this R. Sullivan, 1991, I believe, Scottish dude talking about what is a lock. And the whole video, I was just laughing my ass off the entire way through it. And somebody in the comments said something about their kid saying "for fuck's sake now" or whatever, because he'd heard it in the guy's video, and the guy made a comment about needs to work on that or something. It's like, dude, the language made it hilarious. Don't change that. But anyway, like, every time like somebody likes my comment on it, then I go back and I rewatch the video because the video's hilarious. And one of the things that, of course, stood out to me, because I'm into these kinds of things, right? At the very end, when he shows getting back to his car, it's got a 222 on the license plate. It's like, ha! And there was another one. There's a comedian, ShayDozer, I believe, that I think the thing he did that, oh my God, I was laughing my ass off for that one, was talking about like time in the military. And there was this big skit. It was a couple years ago. I don't remember it, but I remember it was hilarious, and I think that's why I started following him. But he had a post that popped up on Instagram yesterday as well, and he said something about that time his mom texted him at 2 a.m. to remind him of the time that he went on TV with a cowlick and had his hair standing straight up. And when, you know, he had a screenshot of the conversation from his mom, and it was sent at 2:22 a.m. So it's like, yep, here these numbers are, and most people aren't appreciating these, but since I'm all about these numbers, that's the stuff I go right to. You know, and then that makes me think about this other thing. So one of the things that I took a screenshot of yesterday, also wrote it down. Kino Tarot has her KinoReadings page thing on Instagram. And okay, so she said at the start, because I picked pile 2, which, by the way, had the Queen of Pentacles, which the card had a picture of a bear on it. And of course, my bear picture is the one that won. And then, you know, Annie said that that is a totem animal for me because of that point. But also, I talk about the big cats a lot. And the other one was Guidance of the Panther. And of course, it has a black panther on it. And it says, I honor my own inner light, and I harness my own true power with strength and passion. And then one of the first things she says is, I realized after typing your reading that so many messages came through in visuals. I was seeing the messages. This could mean that you are clairvoyant or are strengthening your clairvoyant abilities during Pisces season. There may be a heavy focus on your personal, professional, or creative aesthetic. But anyway, that first part, the visuals thing, and the clairvoyance thing and whatnot. I read that, and then I was like, does this count as numbers too? Because I see numbers all over the place, like the numbers that are like specifically meaning something for me. It's like, I do see other things, like when this was really starting to pick up last year, I started noticing, like, when I close my eyes when I'm trying to go to sleep, a lot of times there's like this like gray snow kind of a thing, and then images kind of form in it, which is kind of a weird thing. And the very first one I remember having that situation came up with an owl, and it was like taking flight, so it was kind of cool. And then there was another one where there's just like this stag that was just out in a field, and it was just looking directly at me. So like there's just like these random things on that end. But then it's like, I kind of feel like the other stuff is like, because the numbers are basically serving as a way of patting me on the back and keeping me going in the right direction. It's like, you're on the right path, keep going, you know. And I've talked about that. That's basically what they are for me, right? And, you know, Kyle Gray even talked about, I've watched a little video he did where he was talking about what the numbers mean, the real easy way of knowing exactly what all these numbers mean. And that was exactly what he said too, was it means you're on the right path, keep going, doing the things, right? But yeah, anyway, so there was that. What was there? Oh, well, Okay, I'm just going to read this whole thing. And I don't know, I might bore people. Who cares? If you get bored, you don't have to stick around. It's a lot of reading and like all the... See, because I'm trying to piece it all together and to be mindful of even the small things that are happening and be, of course, very thankful for like all the signs that I'm getting, because there's been a bunch of things, like especially this week. But anyway, the next part, she says, I'm seeing you attain your ideal results and reaching a peak in something you've been working on. Throughout Pisces season, you are maintaining this peak and reaping the rewards of your hard work. I'm also seeing a vision board for some of you. This is literally a message that your vision board is coming true. If you haven't made one, take this message to mean that your visualizations are coming true. I see you feeling comfortable and confident in your body as well as your wardrobe. You may be reaching a fitness goal during this season. I need to get back into the skating thing. That's driving me nuts. But now it's 20 degrees. That fucking sucks. I see that you will have one or several opportunities to dress up, perhaps for a date or a special occasion, and you will look and feel your best. Finally, I see you getting the chance to meet up with someone you look up to who makes you kind of nervous, but in a good way. It's someone who makes you want to grow and improve. And that's significant people. Someone with Leo or Capricorn placements, an influential person. Let me just stutter all over the end of that bit. Yeah, so who knows on any of it, but I had to write it down because there are little relevant things that, you know, like I talked about, like the twin flame being a Leo. So is that getting close? Possibly. Oh, I had a dream the other day that he appeared in, and okay, so one of his bands was on tour, and it was like there was this blue canopy in my backyard. And it was like it went down to like this sort of underground venue or something, but it was really a weird thing, and I was trying to throw like some kind of container into it or something. I don't know. That's kind of irrelevant. The big thing was Twin Flame was sitting on the porch swing and just kind of watching me. And like I felt like I was kind of erratic and all over the place. And yeah, like I don't really, did it mean anything in particular? I don't know. But like the sense that I got from it was just kind of watching from a distance. Now that could be completely just energetically, right? But yeah, maybe it's more. I don't know. But like he's had some like random things pop up lately that he said that's made me kind of wonder. We'll just put it that way. Oh, and like he posted something. It was time to get a new something or other, and the item number had 37 and 717 in the item number, and it was like right together. I was like, I took a screenshot of that shit. You can, yeah, I don't know that I kept it, but I did, so I could write it down. 4321 as I moved that freaking message screen off of the top of my screen. But yeah, so then there's this other thing that happened where somebody's birthday yesterday, and help us wish them a happy birthday kind of a post, right? And I commented and they responded, and okay, kind of irrelevant, yet, okay, in March when I started back in on this whole YouTube endeavor, this is, it's been a while. I'm sure that anybody that, well, I'm sure people haven't seen that one or that video I did at this point in time. Well, I mean, my cousin has, since I think she's the only person that I know of that's watched all of them. But anyway, I had this morning right after I started back into the YouTube channel, because I took a break, and all throughout February, it's like, I really feel like I need to get back into that. And then March, I had the dream with a girl that said, you need to start sharing the story you already have to share before more of your mission will be made complete, or that will be revealed, right? So, and of course she said it would take time to grow, but it would gain momentum eventually, right? So there were 4s up there too. Yeah. So anyway, the first video I did back, I think, or sometime in the first week, I went in to my office to open the curtains for the birds. And when I walk over to one and I just hear this guy, and of course I've talked about the twin flame on here anyway before many times, but I heard one of his friends say, I didn't say his name in the first video, but I've said his name in other videos at this point. So yeah, like what I heard specifically was like one friend saying to the other, "Hey Rick, I think I found you in girl form," or something, something like that. Anyway, but last night, like this whole thing comes about, and first off, is that 19s are very important. That's somebody else's birthday. That's Tyler's death day. And the thing that caught my attention yesterday that I didn't specify, I was talking about death days and whatnot. Like my great grandma, I think, died on March 1st, and I think my great grandpa died on March 3rd. 19 years apart. And that was very, my cousin, not the cousin that watches my videos, the other cousin that I don't really talk to anymore, but is having the baby, so I'm going to her baby shower. I used to talk to her all the time back when I was, trying to live the Christian life, but now that I'm not, I don't really, I think she still is, so I don't really know what to say to her anymore, but yeah. Anyway, we were talking about it at one point after my great grandma died. And I said, what was that, like 20 years difference? And she said 19. And that was, I think that specific conversation was just so that number stuck with me. And of course, if we want to go back to like the reversals of numbers as well, my great grandpa died in 1991. So 91s are important also, as well as, of course, the 19. 19 also speaks to the connectedness of things. And it's like there's 14 concentric circles in the flower of life. I've seen that where it says otherwise. I saw it somewhere where somebody said 13. It's like, that doesn't feel right. But the 19... that feels right, especially as much as these 19s are coming up. So then now we get, there's another birthday that's in there. Tyler died on the 19th. I got divorced in 2019. So it's like this big convergence of all these different things. But when I realized that and commented on this picture and like the guy responded, like I heard him say that thing. In my head that I heard back in March of last year. So, like, I was walking back to my room and or my office and just had this thing, it just popped right back into my head. And it was just like when I heard it the first time, except for it felt closer. So, yeah, here's me and all my weirdness. Yeah. 19s are important. Very important. And again, connectedness of things. So it's all connected. Yeah, so what else did I want to talk about? There's been everything. Like I wrote so much stuff down. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. That's one. So I decided to watch. There was a 19 again on my little timer that time. Okay, so I decided to watch Sing 2 last night while I was over here at my brother's house. I have decided that I like watching movies when I am over here in the evenings because it makes sure I spend a little more time with the dogs and just have something there, right? So I'm watching Sing 2. And the first thing I notice, of course, is, they go to this club and it's called Rick's Club. So it's like, hey, there's that name again. And then, of course, the girl in the movie is talking to the crocodile owner named Rick. So that was kind of funny. And then in another scene, they end up, dressing up the elephant character, Mina, as like an employee of this fancy theater or whatever. And the lady at the desk, when she's on the cleaning equipment, the lady at the desk says, hey, Ricky. It's like, there's that name twice in the same movie that I just happened to start watching or decided I wanted to watch this day, of course. So, yeah, there was another thing that popped up that had, like, his birth date as the number of likes. When I got in the car last night, it was 11:07 and it was 17 degrees, so there's that 717 again. I saw a video that had 441 comments on it, and then when I caught the clock at 4:44, a little over an hour later, I decided to look it up on this Angel Numbers app that I have on my phone, and it says 444 asks you to pay attention to your intuition and inner wisdom, as your connection with your angels and the angelic realm is very strong at this time. You are encouraged to continue on your current path, as your drive and determination will lead to success and fulfillment. Yeah. The vibe for the day, I forget what page that's off of, said, be very patient with yourself. Keep reminding yourself that things are working out for you. What doesn't make sense now will soon bring you clarity and peace. You'll understand why certain things happened a certain way. It's all in divine timing. Stay positive about everything. Divine timing. And there's 515 up at the top, and that's my great-grandma's number, or one of them. And then there was a Kyle Gray post where he says, God is removing people from your world who are no longer supporting the life you are creating. Hey, like my family. Just that disconnecting at all levels so I can shift into the life I want to have and not have people try to see me get excited about something and try to pull me back into the crap again. Yeah. So, Moonomens, did I read that one? I don't know if I read that one. I don't think I read that one. Oh, be gentle with yourself as you change, as life shifts and moves and transforms around you. As the familiar becomes unfamiliar and home starts to feel a million miles away, as you feel a million miles away from yourself. Be gentle, because the journey you're on is big and vast and and lifetimes long, and it is safe for you to take your time. Hey, like that bit where I'm kind of impatient on things, and I mean, that whole in-between things again, in-between phases, it's like, not completely out of the old life yet, but the life that I'm shifting to is also not yet opened up fully so far. Oh, and I'm not home, so I don't care about that one. That was another thing. Okay, so the other day, what was the context? I don't remember what had happened. I think it was after I did a video over at my brother's house, and I got home and went into the office. So it was not the day I got the birdcage. I don't think it was yesterday. I think it would have been a couple days ago. A couple days ago was when I got the birdcage. The day before that, maybe. Anyway, I get in there, and the radio station I leave on for the birds, like, I just start singing along to this song on the radio before it registers what it is. And it is one of the songs that has been following me literally my entire life, right? Well, okay, since I was 8 and it came out, and I was just singing along with it before it registered what it was. It's like, wait a second. Oh, yeah. I think, they like doing that to me, too. So I just, start singing along, and then it's like, processing. Oh, I get it. But it was Mr. Big, To Be With You. And that song I realize, see, this is one of those revelations I've had in the past year. So that song has been important to me since I first ever heard it on the radio, right? I loved that song, and there's a line in it that says, "Wake up, who cares about little boys that talk too much?" And of course, that was basically what started happening when I was 8. My cousin started being an asshole and like spreading shit about me that wasn't true, but I didn't have the capacity to understand that it wasn't true because everybody just made me feel bad about everything and didn't give me a chance to even talk about what actually happened to make the connection, right? My mom just threw on the guilt and shame and tried to snuff that whole thing out. So then it just became this thing where, this wounded little kid that was my 8-year-old self, all these different ways that, I was wounded along the way. And that song was always there, and that line always stood out to me. And it was always like, kind of like the universe and I got you kind of a thing. And yeah, so nose itches. I feel like there is a hair that is like longer than the bangs, and it's like right on my nose or something. But anyway, so the song I discovered last year, it came out in 1991, which 1991, as I already said, that was the year my great grandpa died. And other random point, he was 77 when he died, and I was 7 when he died. So there's 777. But yeah, so he dies, then I turn 8 in the summer, and at some point in the year, that song comes out. And it was like hugely important because that line, it always just felt like, God or the universe or whatever's on the other side had my back in some kind of way. Like something was kind of like trying to encourage me to keep going at times that I really wanted to completely shut down and not keep going, right? But then I found out that's like, here's one of those like things where like all these different layers are intersecting and and I don't start putting the pieces together until as I've talked about that vision I had when I was in high school, my senior year in high school. This is going to drive me nuts. Maybe it's time to get rid of the bangs again just so they don't do that all the time. But yeah, whatever. For now I have them. So that doesn't work. So yeah, I had the vision when I was in high school, like the last week of high school, where it was the 3 different things. And the first one was that Tyler was going to die in our mid-30s, and that was going to be the thing that brought everybody back together for a time. And then he died at 34, and 10 days after I turned 35. So there was that whole point, and that was the thing that made me realize, whatever was on the other side of death, I felt like he already knew everything there was about the situation that I wouldn't have owned up to had we had this conversation in actual life, because I was always afraid of it, because I was literally raised to feel guilty about this thing. And it wasn't until Tyler died that I was like finally able to look at it and realize what he'd said had happened hadn't even happened, but nobody gave me the chance to talk. So, it was like there's just this little kid. I remember saying, that's it, because it was like, that's not right. Like everything you've just said, that is not right. And like I heard myself say that so many times, like every time something big would happen, that would come up, and then I would just try to like bury it deep within me again. It goes to that whole refusal to nourish the shadow kind of a thing. And if you're not sitting with the shadow and understanding why it's there, like, I mean, it takes some time. It took a lot of time, but it wasn't until Tyler's death that I was able to finally process through that and realize that all this stuff that I carried with me my entire life wasn't even true. And it was literally, I just started writing to him all the time. The other vision was, or knowing, was that I would be 40 before I started putting the pieces together. And of course, I turned 40, and then, I got that job. Basically, I got the job so I could get my lip pierced and my nose pierced and go to the concert that I knew I needed to go to. Which, okay, it's kind of funny because during the pandemic, or like right shortly thereafter, once there was a band that I really loved and wanted to see, and my brother was going to go with me, but then he started freaking out about the parking situation because he didn't know what the parking was like over there. And so, basset hound snoring, he didn't like the parking situation over there, and his anxiety just, fed my anxiety, and then I just got more nervous, and then we ended up not going. But this was like a band that I loved and wanted to go see, but it was one of those where it's like, I thought about going by myself, but I also didn't know the parking situation, so I was like, I talked myself out of it. But I'd already paid for the tickets, just threw it away. And then, and that was specifically, I think, to show me this whole series of things. And then, while I was there again, 40, starting to piece things together, right? And then the Twin Flames band comes to town, and it's like, I have to be there. I bought 2 tickets, couldn't get anybody to go with me. Oh, I didn't talk to a whole lot of people. I talked to my brother and the friend that I am no longer friends with. And she was funny because when I mentioned it to her, she was like, I don't think I'd like that at all. But then I showed her something like from a different one of their shows a lot later, and she's like, that sounds really good. I really like that. It's like, yeah, that's who you didn't want to see with me. Which is like, oh. But point was, I knew I had to be at that concert. It's like, it didn't matter that nobody else went with me. It's like, I have to be there. That's all that matters. And so I went. And the entire way over there, I was like kind of freaking out because I didn't know about I wasn't really into the whole boundaries thing. I hadn't been taught about that just yet. And so I was I just kept telling myself on the way over to the fairgrounds, it's like, this is okay. The universe has my back. Nothing's going to happen that isn't supposed to happen. And I am right where I'm supposed to be. Just keep giving myself these positive affirmations like, I'm meant to be here. And everything was great. Yeah, and I've talked about that in other videos, so I'm not going to talk about that here. But, other point, what else? So that one goes back to that piece about I would be 40 before I'd start putting the pieces together, right? So the job that I got in, I think I went through all of like the startup paperwork stuff at the end of July, but August was when I started and, went through training with the factory. And since I'm talking about it, this white shirt is actually a shirt that I got for free through that company that I worked at for like 5 minutes. It was more than that. I think I left in October. Yeah, after I bought my concert tickets. Yeah, so 40 was when I was going to start putting the pieces together. And so I got my first paycheck. I think the second paycheck, I got the nose ring and the nose rings, and said I would never again work in a job that asked me to be anything less than 100% who I am. And then, of course, she's over there snoring. I start listening to their music all the time, and it's like, there were a couple songs in particular, and I'll tell you about those one day, but not today, that I listened to one on repeat the entire way to work one day. It was like 35-minute drive, and then I changed songs, and as I was walking into the building, there was a line in the song that just like really hit me. It's like how this whole factory scenario, like this factory job that I was working at, was, I mean, it was like, I mean, the idea of it was that was supposed to be the dream, right? You have this kind of job to be able to have the existence where you can have the 2.5 kids and the picket fence and blah, blah, blah. But I was like walking in amongst all these people that are walking out in their uniforms. And of course, I'm all bright and colorful and going into this building, and they're all like, in the blue and white uniforms coming out, and just like the line in the song has really hit me, and I laughed like out loud as I'm going into this building, just at how silly this whole situation was. And then like everything started just like lining up that I was not supposed to be there. I've set this intention, and then like this other stuff, there were certain things that had to happen before I got to that specific point. That goes back to that divine timing piece, right? And divine timing is basically just when all the right pieces converge. So in that moment, that made me realize that I wasn't supposed to be there in that job, which I already kind of knew, because, I mean, the job was specifically just to have some kind of income while I was trying to do the writing thing. And it did help me get my writing habit established, which is kind of, it's not as good as it was when the puppy was there, since I'm having to come over to my brother's house at the moment. But I do have my notebook that I could be writing in, so it's a little lax at the moment. The journaling thing still happens every day. And I try to like make note of all the really impressive synchronicities. Like, they don't all get written in there, of course not. But like all the big ones, yeah, I will try to do that. But, so I turned 40, got the piercings, set that intention. Then I watched a movie with my mom one day, and it's that Love Again movie that I've talked about on here many times. And then I was kind of at the point of, I'd been watching Abraham Hicks, and Abraham Hicks talks about if you're ready to be ready for something, then the universe will line you up with what you need to get there, the lessons you need to get you into that space. And so I watched this movie, Love Again, with my mom, because it had one of her favorite actors in it, and blah, blah, blah. So we watched this movie, and as it gets to the end of it, and okay, first off, one of the reoccurring things that had also been coming up for me at that point was the idea of just keep moving forward. Of course, this was also in the movie Meet the Robinsons. There's the line that was very important to the dad in the movie, and it was keep moving forward, and it's blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that, and I watched that movie with the ex before the one I married, because that's when it came out. So we went and saw it in the theater, I think, or he got it for me. I don't remember, probably both. But anyway, I loved that movie. I loved the little dinosaur. The scene with the dinosaur was my favorite. But yet, yes. I'm holding this paw again and trying to think. She barked in the other room. But yeah, like that line, and it was just the idea had kept coming back to me recently. But then in Celine Dion's song, Love Again, that was in the movie and playing over the end credits, as I'm sitting there and I have this thought of maybe I'm ready to think about like this whole relationship thing, right? So then this whole, damn it, stop talking. My parents are having this whole conversation because somebody came to pick up something she had for sale in Marketplace. Dad set it out, and then the money's on the computer and blah, 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 because the lady picked it up. Stop talking. I don't care anymore about that. I don't need to be in that conversation. Why can't that be in the conversation between the two of them? Exactly. It's just because it got sent to me because I could theoretically have been home, even though they knew I wasn't at that time. She knows I've been coming over here and watching movies anyway. She doesn't know I've been doing this, but that's irrelevant. She knows I usually have a movie going, so I'm here longer. So I would not be over there to put the things out on the porch for this lady. Anyway, I digress. So I watched this movie, and one of the lines in the song is, "You don't have to move a mountain, just keep moving," right? So of course, that was like another one of those things where I was like on my writing path. Like I was doing the writing stuff. I had started being consistent about writing, and now it did fall off for a while, not gonna lie. It has its moments. Right now, when I'm back and forth with the dogs, it's kind of hit and miss too, because usually the time frame that I'm writing, that's when I'm coming over here because I want to spend a couple hours here, but I don't want to go home like I did the other night at like 12:30 and then come back at 4:30, which I skipped that day because I figured it was close enough. But then I still ended up getting over here at like, it was like 12. So it was like, that's longer than I intended for, but that was why I didn't go over there at the earlier time, was because I left so late. So it's kind of, it has its moments. 11111, that's the third video I've been doing in a row that I've caught that. And not just staring at it. I could be just staring at it, but I'm not, I promise. And I think some of the others that I've mentioned it, and it's usually like I look away and then I look right there and there it is. So hopefully that's what you catch, but anyway, so you don't have to move a mountain, just keep moving, right? So the line in the song, and it stuck out with me, right? And then I, was like, well, maybe I'm ready to be thinking about this whole relationship situation, but my track record's not that good, so maybe we'll just give it over to the universe to handle and take the lead on, because I don't know. My relationship track record has not been that great, so obviously I need some assistance from the universe, which there too goes back to that point of, when God writes your love story, when God writes your life story books that I read in undergrad, and then got really into that idea and was like, yeah, I want this in my life, and let's let God do the thing. But then I had to remember and come back to that point. Okay. And then after I had that whole thing where I watched the movie, and then I was decided I was maybe ready to have this thing be a thing in my life. And while I was at it, I should turn my career over to the universe to lead too. And hey, they all go so freaking close together. And one of these days that will be revealed as well. But like I've said many times, it's like, this is the long game. The whole thing has been setting the foundation and believing in the thing, even though nothing else maybe, like, it was always up to me to follow through on what I knew I needed to be doing, right? So that's also a big part of why I've been in the family that I have been in, because obviously anytime something brings me joy, they try to like suck the life out of it, latch onto the joy. Let's suck the life out of that so we can keep going in our toxicity and blah, blah, blah. But once I started setting boundaries, which there too only came about after I realized, after I started putting these other pieces together, which there again started coming about when I was 40, and then universe sends me to the thing that he posted where he was singing one of his songs and says, that's him, that's the one you've been looking for. And it's like, yeah, right, he's out of my league. And then the response was, are you going to let us do this, or are you going to try to do it your way again? It's like, nope, not taking that one back. Already turned that over, so we're just going to roll with it. What's the worst that could happen, right? But it was always, because that's literally like all throughout my life, the things that I have felt really strongly about, as soon as somebody comes along that can throw in the doubt angle from it, then it's like, yeah, you're probably right, and that when I made the comment about manifesting the twin flame before I knew it was a twin flame, back in I think it was 2021, based on what I saw the other day, because I've been trying to put the pieces together, and it's like, okay, so I know I was doing this 30-day book writing challenge, right, at the time, and that was when I happened across his live stream for the first time, and the first one was just kind of like, this is a cozy space. I like this space, but I was kind of like just a fly on the wall sort of a thing. But then I don't know if I made the comment to the momentary friend about maybe I should manifest one of those in my life. If it was that live stream or if it was the other one where he responded to the thing that I said, that I don't know. One of those, I made a comment to a girl that was very, very briefly a friend, and it was through like some relationship development kind of a thing that I started, and then was like, this is kind of bullshit. I don't want to do this. But I made these two friends, and then the one friend was the one that was kind of a naysayer in that moment. It's like, yeah, you're probably right. But then it was like the universe just kind of slammed all these doors. And it's like I felt them energetically speaking, but it's like one of those things is like where you're kind of aware that something has happened, but you don't really know what it is because you can't see it exactly for what it is yet and don't understand. And that has, like, the understanding part has only come about since I have been setting boundaries and kicking the people out, pushing people back that don't deserve the access to my energy. And it's like, ooh, life is completely different now. And so exciting. And honestly, this current energy that I'm in at this moment makes me feel like I was acting in that dream that I had the other day where I said it was kind of erratic and really excited. It's kind of like that. This is how I was acting in the dream, where he was just kind of watching me from afar. And I don't know what is on my sleeve, but I need to. I think it got washed on there. That or one of these yahoos. There's one on the other sleeve too. I'm going to blame the dogs. I'll blame this basset that's laying here next to me. All nice and cozy. Now that she's not snoring across the room. That's all right. Anyway, sorry you saw my dirty sleeve. But yeah. But it was like this whole bubbly energy, and then like he was just sitting on the porch swing and watching me in this chaotic energy, right? So, yeah. Which, there's layers to that, and I've written assumptions in book 11. Oh, it's on that. I figured, aside from the fact that the other ones had the stickers on them, and I saved this one for the last one. It's not last, I'm probably right forever. Just the journaling stuff. But I saved it for the last of the ones that I had because it just felt like that would be an end point, right? Like happy day is, yeah. Because good things are coming. And since it's 11, 11s are important too, obviously. Of course, 11/11 is when I started the 11/11/23 is when I started the YouTube channel, which obviously has changed things for me because I've done a whole shit ton of healing on this whole thing, which is a big part of the purpose. Therefore, yeah. Therefore, revealing more of my mission when the time is right. Going along with the dream. Anyway, yeah. So, I don't know if I covered everything. There's something else. I just noticed that it clicked to 19 though, as I said that, and everything is connected. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, there's things that make me wonder about, like, if he's figured out or remembers the live stream thing and like all the things that because I know we're connected, right? Because like literally, like these dreams keep showing up, and we've communicated in them in various ways, and they've been a huge part of my journey and keeping me moving, even in the times that I wasn't. Yeah, even in the times that were kicking my ass, we'll go with that. And I'm thinking back to the dream I had sometime this past year. Okay, so I watched this natural mystic twin flame video at one point in time, and she made this random comment about who even knows what the masculine is doing at this time. It was like, okay, that's kind of weird. So, but I was kind of thinking about that, and then I had this dream where that was the same dream. That was the dream with the girl in the bathroom that was talking to me. The one of the points of this video was, or that dream, not the video, the dream. I was in the bathroom stall, and she was talking to me outside of outside of the stall, but she was like sitting on the floor in front of it, basically, so I couldn't go anywhere because she was right there. And making sure that I heard what she had to say, kind of a thing, right? So this building that we were in had like a lot of old woodwork, and like one of the big things that I noticed was it felt like they were his memories or something, but like there was this whole thing where he was with a group of guys traveling in a camper van. And I felt like I wanted to see what was happening in these videos that were playing on the walls everywhere, but at the same time, it was like that felt invasive, so I was like actively trying to avoid looking at them, even though I really wanted to. And I remember feeling that. But wherever we went in this building, or wherever I went, it's like they were playing on the walls, right? And it's like this old building with real dark woodwork, and yet the movie was being projected like it was on a white wall, but it wasn't. But it looked, yeah. So anyway, that's irrelevant. Like the next scene that was really big was I was crawling through on like this comfort mat, crawling through and kind of through and behind this group of people, trying not to be noticed. But obviously the universe wanted me comfortable, since he gave me a little comfort mat to crawl through on, right? And he comes crawling in from another direction on one of these mats as well. And then as soon as our paths cross, then like we're up and running in the same direction. And it's like he knows more about this mission that we're on than I do, right? And I'm just kind of going along with like, okay, I don't know what's happening, but I'm going along, right? But then it got to a point where he turns and looks at me, and it was kind of like he aged backwards. And like all at once, he was really unsure of himself, and it just seemed like, I think that was kind of where I ended up waking up, but it was like he was like aging in reverse. And then it was like, when I woke up, I was thinking something about, maybe it meant he wasn't ready yet or whatever, like, whatever. Just since like I saw this backward progression kind of a thing. And then I set this little intention that, okay, well, if I'm not supposed to know what's going on, then I trust that the dreams will show up whenever the next thing is meant for me to know about, I guess, right? So, then I did figure out that I could go into this dream that I had back in like 2020, 2021-ish. And see, I'm going to say it. Okay, so another live stream came up in 2021 because that's when the book challenge, when I was doing that. Because I saved those emails. I deleted all my dreams, unfortunately, because it felt really creepy to have saved all these dreams, because at the time, I didn't know there was anything special going on with this connection. And then when the twin flame thing came up, then it was like, this just feels obsessive that I have all of these dreams saved in my phone, and I was going through and just deleting them. It's like, oh, there's a lot more of them than I even realized. The only one, oh, there's a couple. Mostly, I just remember like fragments of things, but like the one with the where the four guys were behind me and my ex sitting on the couch, and they were kind of staring he was like a TV screen or something when you just see the changing colors and whatnot. It's like they were staring that way and having this conversation amongst themselves. And I was sitting there with my ex on the couch and Ziva sitting on my lap, and Ziva was snarling at him, and I remembered I was really mad at him. And yeah, anyway, that dream. I've talked about it many times. Excuse me. And I'll talk about it again. I mean, like, this is like book stuff, y'all. This is exactly like the point of my journey has been the fact that there's been a lot of things that I have known along the way and that I was setting myself up with along the way, right? And that the universe has kind of been directing the path and making sure that, we hit the marks when we're supposed to. But then you're going to that point of being 40 and putting the pieces together. So, yeah. Mentioned that dream. Wasn't there another dream that I don't know. Anyway, it's useful stuff because it's going to be revisited in the book. And then, when people want to look at the book and be like, yeah, she's full of shit, that she made this up, and to show these connections. Well, now that's the whole YouTube thing, right? So I have this whole, like, a little over a year where I've been talking about all these different things and where I've actively been working on healing things so I can get out of that time period of, getting sucked into the density of what everything wanted me to believe was. See, okay, another thing with the dream where they were on the stools behind me and my ex on the couch. One of the things that I connected to later was the idea that since they were, I was at a lower density than they were, right? So they were at this higher place, and it was kind of like, in a way, they were waiting for me to get my shit together and step up to the next level, kind of a thing. But yeah, then I started communicating with the twin flame through that dream specifically. It's like realizing I can go back into that dream, and the first time, it's like they were talking behind us and kind of over us, but looking ahead. And when I first had the dream, I was focused on just how angry I felt at my ex. And then the next time I went into it, I realized he was literally a leech on my system trying to keep me from moving to a better way of being, right? To a higher state of consciousness, if you will. And at that point, I think, was when I looked at the first time I had the dream, I looked at him and I remember thinking, the twin flame, and thinking it was really weird that they were there, or he was there, right? And then when I realized that the anger was like a leech on my system, I mean, specifically my ex was a leech on my system, then when I shift to looking at the twin flame, then it's like he says really softly to me, if you need help, let me know. And I said, I feel like I have to do this on my own. But that made me realize I don't have to do it on my own, which only came up later. But then, as everything's kind of been progressing on this whole journey, and I've seen the dream differently, and it's kind of shifted, it's like, oh, don't have to do everything on my own, which took me back to that point of the Friends celebration of life back in June last year, where I was like, like, okay, since I've said his name already in this video, even, it's like, since what I said to myself in my head, it's because I was trying to think about, at the time, about how to expand my aura, right? And to fill the space, so the guy that was making me uncomfortable, even though he wasn't really doing anything, it was just by being there, his energy was kind of creeping in and made me uncomfortable. It was like, since I couldn't figure out the expanding my aura thing, then I was just kind of like, hey, Rick, how can I make it go away? He's making me uncomfortable. What do I have to do? So it's basically like the whole twin flame thing. It's just like, other aspect of myself, but the whole, like, the union of the two, and of course starts within first, it creates the third energy, which is the God energy, if you will, that love energy, and God is love is God, love is all there is, right? And that was the thing that came up back in June before that whole thing, I think. That one, I was walking through the kitchen, listening to Berlin's Take My Breath Away, and then just had that sort of insight just like wash over, and it was like, oh, wow. And then it's like suddenly this whole thing, that like the fact that everything is connected, and like all these things that happened when I was like itty bitty come back to the this big picture of who I am now, as well as like where I'm going. But yeah, like it's all connected, and thus, if it's all connected, then I've been divinely led in a lot of ways, even when I didn't think it. Even like the thoughts you have along the way that lead you somewhere, but you don't, like, there was nothing healthy about the thoughts necessarily that got you there, and yet something got you into this position where it was like, wait, hey, this may not be so bad at all. Apparently this is an actual thing that's like really important. And yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm over an hour and a half, so go ahead and wrap it up. And maybe I'll just consider this, or continue this chaos tomorrow. We'll see. I'll do a video tomorrow either way, but I gotta go to Sam's Club with Mom, so I gotta figure out making it happen before then. The bonus is the Sam's Club trip tomorrow. She has a doctor's appointment at 10 o'clock. Her doctor does not cut anybody off when he's there. He doesn't rush them. He sits there and spends the time talking to them, getting to know the issues and the problems they're having, trying to figure it out to the deepest of his ability, right? So for a 10 o'clock appointment, she said she'll call around 11 or something, see where it's at there. And she said it should probably be noon before she's seen anyway. She said it's always a call before you go kind of a thing. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's nice that he's able to do that, but at the same time, that makes for a long day. Like, I remember she had like one appointment that was waiting on her. It was like a 5 o'clock appointment, and I think we left the building at like 8:30. It's like, fuck, dudes. This is a long ass day at the doctor. And I like getting things over with before then, and being able to know I can do something else with my evening or whatever. So yeah, she usually tries to go for earlier, and then she's the snag on the delay to the next appointment or whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. As always, I appreciate you, and until the next time, see ya.